Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Chicago, in person and at home. My name is Amos Biggers. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a member of the Worship Programming and Music Committee. And I'm honored to welcome you to worship this morning along with our worship team of Liz Kreslin, storyteller Liz Tolbert, and our music leader, Dr. Adam Odell. First Unitarian Church has been a home for progressive religion in Chicago since 1836. The church sits on the western shore of Lake Michigan, south of the Chicago River. We honor the indigenous peoples for whom these are unceded ancestral homelands, as well as the diverse and vibrant indigenous American communities who make their home here today. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but the values we share and the mission to grow our souls and heal the world. Whether you just stepped into this church for the first time or for the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. Whether you have a PhD, a GED, or no degree, you are welcome here. No matter your race, or who you love, or how much money you do or don't have, you are welcome here. If you're a visitor, we are very excited to have you with us. Please let us know that you're here by filling out a visitor card and dropping it in the offering plate. Today, instead of our usual joys and sorrows, we have decided to do something in line with our theme of blooming together. As part of our special flower communion service today, we invite you to fill out the card in front of you with a rose, a thorn, and a bud. A rose is something that has brought you a joy this week. A thorn is something that may have brought you sorrow this week. And a bud is something that will bring you hope for the upcoming week. The cards will be collected during the offering and shared during service in the same manner that we do joys and sorrows. If you have a joy or sorrow you would like the Care and Support Committee to know about privately, you may still put joy and sorrow cards in the sanctuary box at the back at any time. I have a few announcements. In lieu of our standard fellowship hour, which we would normally have up in Chrismore Parlor, today we are having a picnic outside. Everyone's very welcome to go out and grab something to eat and drink. Before the actual picnic, we'll be taking our congregation photo first, and then over to the picnic. I think we'll have Brian direct everyone to the picnic area. This Wednesday at 6 p.m., please join us for game night. An additional announcement, next Sunday, June 14th, will be our annual meeting. For those who will typically attend service on Zoom, stay on Zoom during fellowship hour, which will probably be quite brief, and we'll jump back on for the annual meeting. At this point, I would like to call up Joan Peterson.
Good morning. I am Joan Peterson, and I have bronchitis. I hope you will forgive me if I get a little raspy here. Unless this is the first time you've been here, you've heard about pledging. We do it every spring. Anyone can do it. I hope all of you who've decided to come back after your first time here will do it if you haven't already. Have you done it yet?
I
she said, staring at everyone in the room, including those behind me. You don't need money in your pocket this morning, just a willingness to help this place that you've returned to once, or 100, or for some of us, several thousand times. Help it be available to you, to total strangers, or to anyone in between. The money part starts in July and runs through next June. Pacing yourself some each month is how most of us manage to keep up with our pledges. That's just fine. If you don't think you have enough money to make a difference, you might be right, but probably not. I started at just $5 a month, 54 years ago. I gave more in years when I could, a bit less when times were very tight, and then somewhat more when I finally had a steady career. Even though I no longer live nearby and can't even attend by Zoom except in the summer because, of course, I'm in a choir on Sunday mornings out in the West Coast, I expect to continue pledging for years to come. Why? Because this congregation welcomed me as it has welcomed you, made space for who I was and who I was becoming, encouraged me to grow by taking on new challenges, talk to all the teams around here about new challenges and applaud the way they're rising to them. It was where I met and worked with and finally married my beloved Betty, and where my remains will eventually rest in our shared niche down in the crypt where hers quietly await them. Whatever I have given this congregation, it has given me more. Let it do the same for you. Pledge. The best day to do it is today. Please, pledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. That was very well done. I hope anyone who hasn't pledged was paying attention. Seriously. Okay, please just join me in reading our covenant as for the last time. This won't be the last time I read the covenant, but this will be the last time that Liz Kreslin lights our chalice. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
We've gathered today, as we do each year, and as so many Unitarians around the country and around the world, perhaps at this very moment, are doing this first Sunday in June. We have gathered with flowers to celebrate the beauty and the diversity of our joyful community here. I invite us into a time of connection, a time to sense our place in the interdependent web of all existence. I invite us into a time of perception, a time to contemplate these gifts of nature, to feel the movement of the Spirit that resides within each of us, and to notice the potentials within the people around us. I invite us into a time of imagination, a time to envision the possibilities that do not yet exist within ourselves, within this congregation, within our neighborhood, our country, our faith, our world. Come, let us worship together.
Please remain seated as we sing our opening. Please remain seated as we sing the first two verses of our opening hymn, number 78, Color and Fragrance, in the gray hymn.
Did you know that Flower Communion is a specifically Unitarian Universalist holiday? Yep, it's ours. And I'm going to share some history with y'all today, which will be new for some of you, and a review of cherished UU history for others. Flower Communion was developed by a Czech Unitarian minister, the Reverend Dr. Norbert Čapek. He was born in 1870 Bohemia to a family of modest means. Raised Catholic, he became a prominent Baptist minister. As a liberal thinker, he threatened authority, and so under government threat, he left Bohemia and traveled all over Europe as a minister. In 1914, he and his family fled Germany for New Jersey, of all places. And it was there, in New Jersey, that he learned about Unitarianism, and it's also where he met his second wife, Maya, who would walk alongside him in the journey to develop Unitarianism. Throughout his life, he developed increasingly progressive religious ideas. Like many of us here today, he found in Unitarianism something that reflected back to him spiritual truths he had already figured out for himself. The Baptist Church charged him twice for heresy before he left it, and in 1921, he and his family became Unitarians. Later that same year, he and Maya returned to their home country, the newly independent Czechoslovakia. Norbert and Maya founded their own Unitarian church that same year. They brought together people from all kinds of spiritual traditions, people who were ready for something different and healing after the horrors of World War I. Their early services consisted of lectures, not sermons, and the minister wore no robes. There were no elaborate rituals, ornate decoration, or formal prayers. The Chopeks developed a theology centered on common flourishing rather than creed, which would go on to shape the Unitarian and eventually our Unitarian Universalist culture of worship shared between theists and non-theists alike. Our opening hymn today, Color and Fragrance, is one of 90 hymns written by Norbert. Its repeated line, God's vision growing, speaks to us not just as part of creation, but also part of the creating. It's about our ability to shape meaning in our lives and our world and create whatever divine vision we can imagine for ourselves. In 1923, so just a little over a year after they had founded their church, Norbert, and let's be real, probably his wife Maya too, she should also get credit, they held the first flower communion. They wanted a symbolic ritual for emotional connection and bonding, something universal that former Catholics, Protestants, and Jews could all engage in without reservations. Attendees of the service each brought a flower as a symbol of themselves, and they collected these flowers in a vase to symbolize a diverse community coming together to make a beautiful, unified bouquet of humanity. And then each took home a different flower. People loved it, and it became an annual service, always the last before summer vacation, just like we do here at First U. Flower communion spread to congregations all over the world. Maya became a Unitarian minister herself in 1926. Their congregation flourished, and their church moved into a medieval palace in 1930. As we all know, the 1930s saw the rise of fascism, eugenics, racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, militarism, and anti-intellectualism. All kinds of oppression we are still fighting in our own time. In 1939, the now Reverend Maya Chopek traveled to the US to raise funds for relief efforts in Czechoslovakia, and she brought the flower communion with her. The Reverend Dr. Norbert Chopek chose to stay behind in Czechoslovakia. In 1941, he and his daughter Zora were arrested by the Gestapo for their religious and political beliefs. Zora was sentenced to forced labor in Germany, and in 1942, Chopek was imprisoned in the Dachau concentration camp. The Nazis killed him within the year. But during his time in the camp, he held a flower communion in Dachau for anyone who wanted to attend. Just imagine what that must have been like for people held in a concentration camp, not unlike the ICE detention center in Broadview, just 20 miles from this church, or the ICE detention center they are building just across the border in Indiana. These people, not unlike you or me, or the people held in the ICE camps and prisons as we speak, they found whatever flowers they could amongst the weeds of the camp, and they shared them with one another. They testified to a beauty larger than themselves and a humanist love that would outlive them, which continues in us. As we all navigate these difficult times where history seems to be repeating itself, where we find ourselves exhausted fighting both the battles of the past and the battles of the future, may we see the beauty in ourselves and in each other, and take time to share our joys with one another in our beloved community.
Please rise, in body and or spirit. Continue with singing number 78, Color and Fragrance, verses 3 through 6.
Thank you.
Good morning. At this time, I would like to invite any children or anyone who identifies as a child up to the front for story time with me. Thank you, twins. Thank you, Bella. I was going to start calling you all out in a moment. Good morning. Where's your brother? We'll talk about that later. All right. The name of today's story is called Maybe Something Beautiful: How Art Transformed a Neighborhood. In the heart of a great city, there lived a girl who loved to doodle, draw, color, and paint. Every time she saw a blank piece of paper, Mira thought to herself, maybe. And because of this, her room was filled with color and her heart was filled with joy. On her way to school one day, Mira gave a round apple to Mr. Henry, the owner of the shop down the street. She gave a flower to Miss Lopez, the lady with the sparkling eyes. She gave a songbird to Mr. Sachs and a red heart to the policeman who walked up and down the streets. On her way home, Mira taped the glowing sun into the wall, hiding in the shadows. Her city was less gray, but not much. The next day, Mira saw a man with a pocket full of paintbrushes. He gazed at the wall. He looked at her son. He held his fingers up in the square and peered through them. He said thoughtfully. What do you see? Mira asked. Maybe something beautiful, the man replied. Then, just like that, he dipped a brush in paint. Bam! Pow! The shadows scurried away. Sky blue cut through the gloom. The man's laughter was like a rainbow, spreading across the sky. Who are you? Mira asked. I'm an artist, he said, a muralist. I paint on walls. I'm an artist too, she told him. He handed Mira a brush. Then come on. Mira dipped it in the loudest color she saw. Yeah-wee! The wall lit up like sunshine. As the man drew pictures on the bricks, Mira added color, punch, and pizzazz. Soon, Mr. Sachs joined in. Then came others. Everyone painted to the rhythm: salsa, merengue, bebop. Even Mira's mama painted and danced the cha-cha-cha. The whole neighborhood became a giant block party until the policeman walked up. Excuse me, he said. The music stopped. Mira put her brush down. They were surely in trouble. The officer cleared his throat, then paused. May I paint with you? He asked. So Mira handed him a paintbrush, and then the music started again. Teachers and papas jumped in, babies too. Mira and the man handed out paintbrush after paintbrush. Colors spread throughout the streets. So did joy. Wherever Mira and the man went, art followed, like the string of a kite. After they colored the walls, they painted utility boxes and benches. They decorated sidewalks with poetry and shine, and everyone danced Together, they created something more beautiful than they had ever imagined. When their colors were splattered with a million colors, when their clothes were splattered with a million colors, everyone sat down to rest, except the muralist. His eyes sparkled. You, my friends, are all artists, he told them. The world is your canvas. He smiled wide, then pulled everything together in big, sweeping motions. His paintbrush was like a magic wand. When he was finished, Mira added one more bird way up in the sky. Maybe, she thought, just maybe. The end. Thank you. Now we send the little ones off to classes with our love, and we invite you to turn and greet your neighbor.
What a perfect song. Wow, you get good at this. You're getting better and better at this. No more Benny and the Jets and stuff like that, you know? This is the part of today's service where gratitude and thanks are offered to Liz Cressland. So it's not time for the offertory yet. But it's a different kind of thing. So, you know, I volunteered to do this part of the service, and now I was putting thoughts together, and I was like, man, this is tough. So Liz, you know, we thank you for finding your place here at First U, and as a result, leading us in religious education, followed by your role as ministerial intern. For those who don't know the distinction between DRE and DLRE, Liz came in as a director of religious education, and then we, you know, quickly discovered that, well, we need a lifespan religious education director. So not just someone who delivers religious education to youth, but to the entire congregation. So I want to draw that distinction. I would also like to kind of speak personally about Liz finding her place. So I was on the board of trustees at the time that Liz came to us. Margie Gama was president, I was vice president. And a couple of Liz's earliest interactions with the board on a monthly basis included a hot topic of spending the allotted budget to refurnish the RE room. So there was a budget allotted to it, didn't get spent, and we wanted it spent. And the board was growing, not me and Margie, just want to say that. But the board was growing a little impatient with the lack of picking out the furniture and getting it set up. That they were like, yeah, let's just pull it out the budget. And Liz, in so many words, said, don't touch my money. So, and ironically, right, it wasn't long after that Richard Pardo hung curtains in the RE room, offered to assemble the furniture and all that stuff and have people help him when they got here. So that was pretty neat. Then the transition of Liz's role changing from Director of Religious Education to Director of Lifespan Religious Education. One of the first things we did, or that she took on, was facilitating an education session and presentation on Article 2. And myself and Reverend Don, who was our interim minister at the time, was like, well, you want to facilitate that? And yeah, she did an amazing job and kind of held our hands and led some of the first forums that followed. So I gotta give it up to her. So ultimately, like, this has been one of the best transitions I've been a part of at First U, and actually, like, in life as well, to some degree. It's really something that this relationship and interaction started with me being part of a group that offered direction, offered recommendations, and somewhat leading Liz, to now in more recent months, as I'm part of like the worship and programming committee chaired by Andrea Frickson, she's offering direction, offering recommendation, and kind of leading the group. So Liz, I want to say, whatever you choose, or whatever chooses you, because life goes that way sometimes, I hope you lead. Thank you.
We now take up our weekly offering. Your generosity supports the important ministries of this church. Each month, we choose a community partner with whom we share our collection, 50-50. This month, our partner is Brave Space Alliance. Brave Space Alliance is an LGBTQ+ focused community center on Chicago's South Side that welcomes and serves all who come through their doors. They strive to empower, embolden, and educate each other through mutual aid, knowledge sharing, and the creation of community-sourced resources as we build a world of liberty and justice for all. They are leading a movement for the rights and liberation of the entire trans and LGBTQ community. They envision a city where Black and brown, trans, and LGBTQ+ lives are fully valued, fiercely protected, and powerfully equipped to thrive. Thank you for your generosity toward our shared ministry in this church and in the world. Our offering will now be gratefully received.
Hello, everyone. It's time for Joys and Sorrows, but as you know, today we're doing roses, thorns, and buds. In the spirit of blooming together, today we share a thorn, a rose, and a bud. This is a practice that Liz and I became accustomed to doing with our coming of age class. It allows us to share together our joys, sorrows, and hopes as a community. And we hope that you guys love this ritual as we have in the past with our class. I have quite a few here, and I'm going to try to read through as many as I can. Bear with me. Here is a joy. Someone's expressing joy for our annual flower celebration and our picnic, the fantastic weather, and just in honor of spring. It says, please take a free plant from the table at the picnic. All right. Someone is expressing joy for John Peterson to be back here with us for a visit. It says, we miss her skills and talent, which we very much do. Nice to see you, Joan. We have a sorrow here. It says, our beloved friend and colleague, Piotr, just died of cancer 2 days ago. We were planning on seeing him in Warsaw this summer. He was not able to wait for us. We express grief with you in that. We have a joy here, or I should be saying a rose and thorns, shouldn't I? A rose here. I'm grateful for the beginning of summer, for all CPS teachers, staff, and students. That was from Jen Adams. We're happy for you. Another rose here is spending the day with dear friends at the art fair and barbecue. Something that's brought them sadness, a thorn, the U.S. federal government, and a bud, upcoming trip with friends. I'll go through a couple more here. A rose here is school is over, so my days are filled with friends and I want to say recreation. Thorn is too cold to swim in the lake for me. And a bud is the art fair today. I love it when the kids participate too. It's wonderful. And one more, a rose, taking grandson Callan to the new children's garden at Garfield Park Conservatory. I didn't know they had one. And a bud heading up north in Michigan with spouse Ken, and that's from Colleen Crawley. Thank you, Colleen. There are so many here. Thank you guys so much for participating. Sorry about that. And these, may we hold space for the joys in our lives, for the moments that make us smile and the memories we cherish the most. May we hold space for the sorrows of this world, for those who grieve and those who shed a tear. May we hold space for hope that is to come, for anticipation for what is new and plans that will come to life. For all the joys, sorrows, and hope of our community and the world, those named and those held silently, those remembered and those forgotten, may we make space for them and keep them in our care. Thank you.
When Operation Midway Blitz hit Chicago in September of last year, I began protesting outside of the Broadview ICE facility every weekend. As September moved to October, the facility on 1930 Beach Street became a site of more and more religious protest. Unitarians, Mennonites, Baptists, Catholics, Presbyterians, Jews, and Muslims, among others, gathered outside the facility to make our calls for love and humanity heard. I imagine the personalities in this crowd were not unlike the ones Norbert and Maya Čapek drew as they built the Unitarian Fellowship in the newly independent Czechoslovakia. For many weeks, we were forced to stand in a sectioned-off area that the local police had called the Free Speech Zone, created by the Illinois State Police, Cook County Sheriff's Department, and local Broadview Police, commonly referred to as the Unified Command. On October 24th, a collection of Chicagoland UU ministers and I led a flower communion ritual in the so-called Free Speech Zone. Juxtaposing the murder of Norbert Čapek by the Nazis against the inhumane conditions inside the facility, we led a crowd of protesters in the exchange of flowers while singing "There is more love somewhere." We also sang songs like "We Shall Not Be Moved," "Circle Round for Freedom," and "All You Fascists Bound to Lose." It was a firm statement of our anger and our love, two things often placed in opposition to each other, but that have a clear, meaningful relationship in the face of unspeakable injustice. We will not stand for injustice and inhumanity, but we will not sacrifice our love in the name of anger. In fact, it is that very love that keeps us going. I was reminded of that the week following our flower communion while demonstrating at Broadview again with a different collective. The flowers we passed out the previous week had been used to decorate the fence along the perimeter of the Free Speech Zone established by the Unified Command. This fence, a tool of separation, had been covered in a symbol of beauty, individuality, and love. On that day in Broadview, protesters used a reinforced banner to retake the ground which the Unified Command had blockaded in order to allow ICE vehicles to enter and exit the premises without being identified. While we did not push into the ground being held in real time by the police, we were nevertheless shot with pepper balls and threatened with batons. Nevertheless, we persisted. With a group of protesters holding the line, we led a singing circle and a dance party. We blew bubbles and drew chalk art on the street which had previously been blocked. The Reverend David Black, a local Presbyterian pastor, gave a sermon to the Unified Command as they guarded the entrance to the facility. At one moment, he was handed a flower from our flower communion by another protester, and at the end of the segment of his sermon on the Beatitudes, "Blessed are the peacemakers," he placed a flower at the feet of the police, who responded by brandishing their batons and forming an even tighter line. As the day went on, the crowd stood firm. We took a few flowers from the fence and placed them along the spots in the road where pepper balls had been fired. We sang through coughing. We danced through streets patrolled by officers in riot gear. We poured love into concrete stained by chemical agents. We were angry that day. We remain angry. But anger alone is not a sustaining emotion. Alone, it is weak, cowardly, and without moral conviction. It was our love that sustained us that day, and it is love that will carry us forward. That love was carried through our singing, through our dancing, through our drumming, through flowers on pepper ball stains. Used well, love can create and sustain peace more than any crowd control device could ever dream of. So as we celebrate flower communion, let us not forget the depths of its meaning. It is not just a lighthearted recognition of our eccentricities, of how some people talk to their plants and how others really like dinosaurs. In a world that teaches us to fear our differences and claim that tolerating them is a radical position, flower communion is a declaration that we not only tolerate, but honor and cherish our differences, because it is in our differences that we become ourselves. In a world that views machismo and destruction as signs of strength, it is a declaration that the stronger position honors delicacy, beauty, transience, change, and love. To honor the Unitarian tradition of the Chapeks, of Norbert's sacrifice, and of Maya's advocacy, we look at the beautiful bouquet of humanity and declare that no one in that bouquet is a weed. We reject the infertile soil of intolerance, the drought of isolation, and the spreading virus of fear. I refuse the notion that my immigrant neighbor is a threat to my way of life. I refuse to believe that the disenfranchised black child is a threat to my community. I refuse to believe that the family living under a highway overpass is devoid of human dignity. And I refuse to value a rose by the sharpness of its thorns.
That really moved me. There were some people whose voices I had not heard before. I'm going to pray for myself for the strength to lead this ritual. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord. Flower communion is an expression of the power of possibility that lies within each of us, and that we can bring into the world for everyone to see and appreciate. Everything we each do and everything we each become begins like a flower seed from a small movement in our heart. If we pay attention to it, we can always keep growing towards our most dignified, loving, compassionate, wise selves. Likewise, making real the world of freedom, justice, peace that could exist. What I imagine Norbert Chapek might call God's vision. That begins from the seed of the possibilities that we each imagine and then act on. In moving toward that vision, we are interdependent. We need the unique perspectives and gifts that each one of us can bring in order to move forward together. Our flower communion is an expression of our individual potential and our interdependence with each other. It represents the beauty and the joy and the power of a diverse community. After the Nazis took control of Prague in 1940, Norbert Chapek was offered safe passage to the United States. He turned down that opportunity, determined to stay and minister to his people, despite knowing well the risk to himself. Knowing that he was interdependent and responsible to his community, he bravely faced a situation much darker than he had ever anticipated. As he did so, the beauty and the joy of the flower communion remained strong. With that in mind, I consecrate these flowers with Dr. Chapek's words. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of others' talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in the world.
In a moment, we will begin the flower communion. You are invited to approach the flowers with reverence. These flowers are the loving contribution of your first Unitarian community. Honor them as you approach. When you reach the flowers, take a mindful moment to select a flower that calls to you, different than the one you may have brought. As you take it and return to your seat, handle your flower with the care that you would offer the person who brought it today. Notice its unique features, its shape, its color, its beauty. When you take it home today,
and to put down your hymnal and make sure that you're holding your flower with the care that it deserves. If you're on Zoom and you have something beautiful to hold, like a flower or a rock or anything near you, you're invited to hold something with us. Let these flowers be instilled with, bring with them, and instill in us the care and the love of this community until the next time that we're together. May they be reminders for us this week of the joy and the beauty of that diverse community, of that love, the love and the joy that persists and resists even in the face of the deepest oppression and affliction. May these flowers be a reminder to us this week of the sacred potential that lives within each of us and within each person we encounter. May we recognize it and reflect it in each other this week. May we remember that we are interconnected. May these flowers serve as a reminder to us this week of our connection, our responsibilities to each other. May we fulfill them, remember them each day, and may we know that we are not alone. First Unitarian Church of Chicago, go in beauty, go in vision, go in hope, go in joy, go in love, go in peace. Amen.
Hey everyone, quick reminder, we're about to take the photo, so in like 2 minutes, so everyone please push to the front steps to take the photo, and then we'll have the picnic afterwards. Quick correction on global studies, that's gonna happen after the picnic. Hope to see you all there, but if you can head out to the front steps to take the photo right now, that'd be great. Thank you.